Hey everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. I know this Thanksgiving is a little different, and that's because of COVID-19. And some of us are celebrating away from our families, some of us are by ourselves, some of us haven't seen our loved ones in months or a year. As for me, as I said in my on my YouTube channel, I haven't seen my mom in 16 months, and it's probably been that or maybe a little longer seeing that I haven't seen my dad. But I thought this was the perfect time to talk about doing things that make us uncomfortable and dealing with family and issues like that. I remember forcing myself to do things with my family that I knew was going to make me feel some type of way. And that some type of way is anxiety, give me anxiety, or make me feel angry, things along that line. And sometimes we force ourselves to do things that our bodies are telling us we know good and well that we shouldn't do. Because every single time I go someplace that I know that I shouldn't have gone, my body always gave me signs, signals and signs. I always had a gut feeling that I shouldn't have gone. But sometimes when it comes to dealing with family, you feel obligated to go because that's your family. Now, what I'm not talking about is leaving your comfort zone, because for some people, being around large people is a comfort zone thing. Not being around large people is a comfort zone thing. They don't like being around large people and things like that. Sometimes you have to force yourself to do certain things. What I'm addressing is toxicity. When maybe it's a time that you're going through a certain phase with your family, or you know that certain family members are toxic to you. You are not obligated to be around them. You are not obligated to go any place that your soul doesn't feel comfortable being, where you feel it in your gut that you know you shouldn't go. And that's the thing. People think just because it's family that they're obligated to do certain things. We have to get out of that. We have to get out of that. Yes, remain respectful. Yes, do your part as a family member, but you do not have to be around people that make you feel a certain way. And I had to finally stand up for myself when it comes to this. I had to learn that I can love people from a distance. I had to learn that people are going to be them, and I have to accept who they are. And if I choose to accept you for who you are, but not want to be around you because you do something to my spirit, that's okay too. That's fine. Maybe eventually things will change, because sometimes, honestly, things like that, not unless it's really, really, really toxic. Like I have certain friends and family members, and this is just being real. This isn't blasting anyone, that I know my soul don't take well to. So I protect myself by not being around them. And that's just something that I have to do. And when I do betray myself and go ahead and say, oh, well, go ahead, it never works out. It never works out. It brings me back to this point and feeling of, I know I shouldn't have been there. So trust that gut feeling. Learn to protect yourself and love yourself, to even protect yourself from family members. So this is why I say this time, like COVID-19 is the worst. But in actuality, for me, it has forced me to look inside. It has forced me to sit with myself. I've been learning to sit with myself for like the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So when COVID really hit, it wasn't a problem for me. I'm a natural introvert, so being in the house didn't bother me. But to see people that felt the need to be out and about like 24/7 and like being in the house was driving them crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I just realized that people do not know how to sit with themselves. Not judging, I'm just saying, I just noticed that people are uncomfortable being by themselves or sitting at home with themselves. I use this time to dig deep, to dig deep like no other. When I tell you I worked on me, nobody else. When I say nobody else, I mean I looked inward, like every single problem that I had with someone outside of myself, I looked within to see either how I can deal with it physically, mentally, spiritually. I digged within to see how I may have been the problem. I did things like that. I couldn't look outside, even when with looking at things that people were doing and in this Trump situation. I swear this Trump situation taught me some things, and it basically opened my eyes to honoring other people's opinion, and being okay with how they feel, and explaining myself, my position on certain things, and being able to walk away from it. It taught me to see people for who they are. Like I said, this has been an eye-opening time. And if you haven't really taken a minute to look at what was going on in the world, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this was the best time to see that you need multiple streams of income. This was the best time to see that you really didn't have anybody. You really don't have anybody to depend on but yourself, when times get hard like this, because everybody was struggling. Everybody was fighting for something. And if you weren't prepared, you may have lost some things. So this has taught me a lot. But what I wanted to talk to you today about was not being afraid to basically say, you know what, I'm going to stand up for me, even when it comes to family members. If you know you feel a certain way around certain family members, then you shouldn't have to be around it. Don't force yourself to do it, even on holidays. I mean, you got to stand up for yourself.